G'day, Two Slips fans, and that is it. The Border Gavaskar Trophy has finally come to a close. The first test has gone 5 days, and they were 5 grueling days if you happen to be a bowler. Shaking hands with Australia, 2 wickets down. The game ending in a draw, which gives a 2-1 series lead to India, and with New Zealand pulling one out right at the death to win the game against Sri Lanka means that India qualify now for the World Test Championship final. So we'll see India again very soon at the Oval in June, right before we take on the Ashes. But that's it. The 5th Test is done, and what can we say about it? It was just as farcical, I suppose, as the last test in terms of the wicket. It just never really broke up. I mean, no wickets in India ever offer anything for the fast bowlers, but this one never really got to the point where it offered any real substance or consistency to the spinners either. So it just became a pretty drab bat-a-thon. It seems to be that there's, over the last few tours, not just Australian tours, but tours in general of India, that there's a propensity to be one or the other. It's either way too conducive to spin, or it's completely flat and runs are plentiful. There doesn't seem to be much middle ground with Indian wickets, which is a bit of a shame. Would have been really nice to see if it were the proper contest, if Australia could have levelled the series, but it is what it is. We've got to see some important milestones. Quaj bringing up his 100. Travis Head so close to bringing up 100 in that 4th innings with an absolute cracking ball from Akshar Patel to get rid of him for 90. Cam Green broke his duck, got 100. Shubman Gill finally let off the leash, replacing KL Rahul. He scores 100, and Virat Kohli, as we talked about last night, brought up number 28. So, yeah, plenty of runs on offer. Labuschagne brought up his first 50 of the series, and we'll talk about it more in detail in the actual podcast. And I thought it was a respectable series for Marnus. It was obviously a very good series for Aussie, but Marnus is one of the other guys that could hold their head up high and say that more often than not they did their job with the bat. But yeah, it's, like I said, we'll talk about it more on the podcast, but it really is a series of what could have been. I mean, we got the squad completely wrong for the first test and were soundly thumped by just a rampant Indian team. And then for the second test, we were on top. Like we eked out a pretty respectable first innings total. We had India 7 for 140, 135. And then we let it slip with that partnership with Akshar Patel and co. And then obviously we had the massive collapse on day 3. I mean, if we got, we broke that partnership earlier, we didn't bat like a bunch of Muppets on day 3, we probably should win that game. And then we got the series locked up we win the series 2-1 essentially at that point. And I wonder if India would then put up a more result-driven pitch, I suppose, depending on how things go. So it just smacks of so close yet so far. I mean, we, after the series was gone, we finally got our act together and got the job done and got ourselves back into the series. So 2-1 doesn't really demonstrate about how lopsided it was in India's favour for much of the series. But there were also tipping points of the series where we weren't far away. And we just, there wasn't any wizardry in the wickets. There wasn't anything unfair. It was just simply that we didn't do our job with the bat. We failed 3 innings out of the 8 innings on offer for us, and those 3 failures cost us the series. I thought the bowlers were valiant in all through. It wasn't really, other than Nathan Lyon's first test, there wasn't really anything that I could say. I mean, Scott Boland was fantastic in his limited efforts. Cummins probably should have bowled in that 4th innings of the second test. He's the captain but the bowlers did their job. It was essentially the batters letting us down. So it's just a shame that an hour here and an hour there really swung the outcome of this series. We get Akshar Patel out cheap, or we bat properly in that 4th innings. Could have been a much different story for the Australian cricket team. So, yeah, it's frustrating. Yeah, it's good to see that we didn't pack it up. We got ourselves off the mat and, return serve and show what we were truly made of. But again, it's just frustrating that we didn't come in with that same dedication, that same application of our skills when the series was on the line. But it's things they're gonna have to put in the memory banks for 4 years. I think 4 years down the line, we head back over to India for the next Border Gavaskar Trophy. Take the learnings from that away. Try and get their squad selection right. But one final note before I leave is congratulations, a massive congratulations to Travis Head. I mean, I wrote him off before the summer. I wasn't picking Travis Head. But as the summer progressed and I saw how well Travis Head was batting, I'm like, this guy could really be a difference maker. And he deserves a chance to fail. I mean, he's been amazing for Australian cricket team. And he's done well. He's done amazingly well. He's made sure now that he is a player that should be picked to go wherever we go. Wherever we go in the world, there is a spot for Travis Head. He's no longer a horses for courses batsman. This is a guy who, when in form, walks into your side anywhere in the world. So well done, because he was all at sea last year over in Sri Lanka and Pakistan. So whatever he's done to get himself right for subcontinent conditions, he's found a groove that works. And I'm glad to see it paid dividends for him, and can entrench himself with the team and have a good, long, consistent, positive run in the side. And hopefully go on to bigger and better things in the Ashes. So well done to Travis Head, and I like being right. It was in calling for him to open the batting in India for the better part of this year. I think I was calling for it since the Sydney Test. So it's always good to got that one right. Big congratulations to Rohit Sharma and the Indian cricket team. At the end of the series, they were too good. Their spin attack was sublime. They did their job masterfully. Key batsmen stood up at key times for them. Every time Australia threw a haymaker to get themselves back into the game, far too often India countered. And when the series was on the line, all the big moments went to India. And you can tell what a juggernaut that side is. So well done. They retained the series. They won the series again. It proved what a nightmare they are to face on their home conditions. Played excellently. Well done to them all. And we look forward to seeing you guys for the World Test Championship final at Lords, where things might go back our way. But then again, they do have quite the talented fast bowling attack as well. So it should be an excellent game. And I think, in all honesty, they're the two best Test teams in the world. It would make sense for, as much as I would have loved for Sri Lanka to sneak in there and steal it, it's fitting that these are the two teams that are partaking in the final. They've been over a 4-year period. So the last World Test Championship and then this one, you would say that Australia and India have been consistently one of the better sides for that whole period. So it's good to see that they get to lock horns again, and hopefully we can add the last piece of ICC hardware that we haven't got to our collection. Good to see. All right, guys, thank you for spending time with me after all these games and listening to my thoughts. Next time you hear from me will be for the podcast, where I'll be joining the other Aaron and in there, and possibly Glenn. We'll see how things are going. But until then, guys, bye for now.